Cool. Okay. So this morning, I do want to cover how to get better on phone jams and be better on the phone. A lot of you guys requested that. So I added a couple of links to this document. It's like the one all be all getting more appointments document, which includes the phone and brainstorming more people and having the scripts to get more people. So a lot of that's on there. If you scroll down to the very bottom when it says phone tips. So we've already covered, bonus phone tips, right? Sound like they're expecting your call, sound like you're setting the appointment versus asking for the appointment, and sound like they should know who you are and sound like someone they want to meet. So we covered that. We already talked about firming up, cover that as well. The script's all right there. The two documents I want to cover are phone jam best practices and phone call flow, and then making Mrs. Jones laugh with phone jokes and objections. Let's go over this one first. So this is going to be phone jam excellence. Okay, let's see if I can do this guy. Okay, so phone jam best practices. Let's go through this. It's great to have a lot of people to call, but how can you be more efficient? Well, a few ways here. And I'd love for you guys to think about, am I doing this? So phone jam best practices, number one, do you have a goal of how many calls or demos you want to book going into the phone jam, or are you just showing up, right? Are you coming with 100 names and numbers in the Vector Impact app? With many of you brainstorming 200 plus, you're all good with that. But some reps come to a phone jam with like 20 people. It's like, well, what are you gonna do for 2 hours? You're just sit around, twiddle your thumbs. Like that's gonna take you 40 minutes to make those 20 calls. Let's come in with more names and numbers. Come in with your next week's schedule mapped out. That's another, I guess, best practice that a lot of your reps forget about, because you come to phone, you're like, oh shoot, when do I work? Oh shoot, what's my schedule next week? So you're really kind of shooting yourself in the foot because you don't know when to ask times. You don't know when to offer two best times. You don't know even like what works for you. So that's really important. Have a script and read it. Obviously, you've got to have a script. You got to read it. It's going to work. And then read the correct script. I don't know if you guys are aware of this, but on myvectordemo.com, there are multiple scripts. So you want to be using the initial script from training on the very top. All right, so let me try to do this, holding the baby in the right hand and try this with my left hand here. So myvectordemo.com. All right, the phoning script. So when you're new, with everyone who you know well, you're practicing for the first year, by the way. Any new job, like a career, you're like new, you're figuring things out for the first year. So it's okay, even if you've been around for a few weeks or a few months, say, hey, I'm just doing some practice presentations. I just started a few weeks ago. I just started a few months ago. So you want to use this regular phone approach for anyone who's like your first gear, right? We talked about first, second, third, fourth gear people. And then when you get to like the second and third gear people, people you don't know as well that might be an acquaintance or on your chicken list, you want to scroll down to where it goes to the acquaintance approach. And then that way you're handling, it's a little bit less about training and practice appointments. It's a little bit more of like connecting with them, helping you out towards a goal or a scholarship. And you're connecting with them based on if they're a neighbor, a friend, son or daughter of someone, or like a mom or dad of someone, or a member of a church. You're basically doing that. And then as you get into referrals, you want to call referrals right away once you've been trained to do it. And for sure at 10,000 in sales, start calling recommendations if maybe a little bit earlier based on your flow. But referral phone approach is right here. Use that. So that's a big step, is to make sure you are using the right phone approach. All right. Next up is to queue up 50 people. So if you're getting into a phone jams should be a good couple hours, and you should be making 25 calls an hour if you're like serious about it. So are you queuing people up? Do you know how to do that? So that way you're not thinking. I just saw Maverick last night. So good. My wife and I went to go see it. And, the rooster is told, hey, stop thinking, just act. So I think a lot of people have analysis paralysis. And I heard on a podcast as well this morning where they said an imperfect action taken is better than a perfect plan not taking action on. I said it a little wrong there, but too many people, they think about it. Who's the best to call? Who should I call? What's going on? And they don't take action. It's better just to make a lot of phone calls. So come in and queue up 50 people. So you're not thinking about who should I call? What should I do? Oh, let me check this Instagram. Let me grab a snack. Let me go to the bathroom. It's just queued up at the next person, ready to roll. Do hours of power. We've taught you that during the Growth Alliance, that best practice is just to focus on 1 hour sprints, not all these calls, not an all day phone jam like on a Sunday during a push, but do a quick 25 calls in that hour. And as soon as you're done with those 25 calls, be done for the rest of that hour. So it takes you 52 minutes to crank through 25 phone calls. Then you have 8 minutes to just like chill. If you go all the way to the hour and you kind of slack and you have a minute or two left, well, then you have less of a break. So it's kind of a fun way to gamify and just focus on the calls that you're making. So do hours of power, be in a focused place without distractions. It's hard for me right now with watching a couple of boys here that to stay focused, but be like in your room with your door locked, right? Or, Brittany, have the kids in front of, a screen or watching something that they're like focused on that and not go, mommy, 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 right? And just be in a focused place without distractions and let people know that you're working, right? Like if you're in the middle of the kitchen doing phone calls or on a meeting, of course your mom or your dad or your friend or significant other doesn't realize that you're working. So it's important to be like, hey, mom, hey, significant other, I'm going to be in my room working for a couple hours to set up my week. So please don't ask me any questions or distract me. It's like they wouldn't call you at a shift at Culver's and expect you to pick up and like talk about the weekend plans, right? Oh, sorry, boss at Culver's. I know I know I got like a bunch of tickets to take care of here, but you know what? My mom is asking about, if I can pick up my brother tomorrow. It's like, no, that's not okay. Turn off all notifications. We are constantly distracted. So, I would do it just for good. Maybe you can get a little crazy and delete some apps, but, turn off all your notifications except for your phone and your texting, but all the emails, all of the, all the social media, heck, even GroupMe notifications. So turn off notifications. You can phone anywhere between 8 a.m. and 9 p.m. Could you phone earlier or later? Sure. Probably not best practice. And it probably won't be, it might be a little too early or a little too late for people. But between 8 and 9 a.m., that's great. 8 a.m. and 9 p.m. are great. More efficient phone times you think about in the morning before like, half the workforce is off to work. That's great. Between like 8 and 9 a.m. is ideal. After work time, between 6 and 9 p.m. is ideal. Saturday mornings, people are just chilling, is ideal. All day Sunday is ideal. But any time is better to phone than no time. But what's great about the 10 a.m. or the noon call is you're going to get a hold of people at the time to book up those type of demos. So even though it's going to be maybe an extra few phone calls that get a demo, maybe it's taking you 7 to 8 calls to book up a demo between like 10 a.m. and 5 p.m. You're going to get great demos at the times that you want. And you can ask them for those times where it might take only 4 or 5 phone calls to book up a demo in those key times. Get on video with other people, the phone, for fun and accountability. Like right now, preaching the choir, but like getting on and holding yourself accountable. It's so easy, myself included, to get distracted or all of a sudden, just quick check something on social media and all of a sudden it's 20 minutes later. So get on a phone, call with people or get on a Zoom call, be with them at a local office, meet up with someone by you and like meet up at like a park or coffee shop, make some calls. You don't have to wait for a scheduled phone time or for an assistant manager or manager to say, hey, here's when we're phoning next. You can say, hey, like literally anyone can go on GroupMe. Hey, everyone, I'm looking to phone here in the next 15 minutes. I'm going to hop on Zoom. Here's my link. Who else wants to join me? I'd love some competition or accountability. You guys as leaders, obviously that's important to do. You don't have to wait for us. 5 before and 5 after is key to load up a schedule. So loading it up is going to happen much easier when you're making not just phone calls during a phone jam, but when you're doing it consistently throughout the whole day. The goal is to do a demo and book a demo. Do one, book one, right? Replace it. And if you have 4 or 5 demos booked today, you do 5 before and 5 after, which I know most of our team isn't doing, well, then those are going to replace themselves. And then you don't have to go to a phone jam. Phone jams are there to book up your week. If you're already booked up, and really you just have time. Think about your demos. You have 5, 10, 20-minute pockets between demos. Why waste it and go, oh, my next demo is until 6. No, I have 20 minutes here. I'm just going to hang out. Well, why not book up a few more demos? And then you don't need to go to phone jams later. And then consistent phoning and Champs Club is key to booking your week. So think about it. If you didn't do any extra phone time, like sometimes you feel guilty, right? I need to make more calls, or I should be making more calls. Well, if you only showed up to the morning Champs Clubs and get 15 to 20 phone calls in, a phone jam on Sunday and Thursday night to make about 50 calls each, then make another 15, 20 calls at a team meeting. So, and then a Saturday morning rising star, make another like 50 phone calls. If you didn't even do your own phone jams, but you just showed up to those, you're looking at about 250 phone calls. If you're getting bad phone stats at 10 calls per demo, that's 25 demos. That's plenty and more than most of you have goals for each week. So just show up to those and then you're good, right? So then you don't have to worry about, oh, I'm not booked, or, oh, I feel guilty and I should phone. No, just show up when the normal times are as well. All right. So those are best practices. Any questions on that? Pretty simple, right? And hopefully there's a lot of those where you thought that you're great reminders. So here's the phone call flow. I had a few questions lately of some people going, well, I already called them a couple times, so I feel bad calling again. Or, I just called them last week, right? And some of these people, they go through their phone list and as managers will go, wait, you called this person twice. Why haven't you called them again? Well, I just don't think they're interested. They're not available. We called them twice. That's not a lot. So here's the flow that I'd recommend. Call 3 times a week at different times and days. And after 3 weeks of 10 plus calls, stop calling for like a month. So if you're calling them, a lot happens in a week, right? There's a lot that happens, a lot of calls, a lot of texts, a lot of messages, a lot of notifications, a lot of life happens. How many times have you guys ever had like something that you did and you're talking about it, you're like, oh my gosh, that was like this morning, or that was yesterday. You're talking about like it was last week. There's so much that happens. Time flows pretty quick. So I would say you don't want to be annoying. You don't want to call them like every hour. You don't want to call them, every day for like a month. But if you call them every other day, a few times a week, after a few weeks, I'd probably say just cool. It's probably a waste for now, or make sure you don't have their number blocked, Peyton. And then I'd cool it off for like a month and then put them back at the bottom of the call list. So here's the flow. I'd recommend that you double tap. So double tap, what is that? Calling them once. In the Vector Impact app, it comes up with an option where you can call them back a second time. So call them back, because how many times have we gotten a random call and ignored it? Because we're like, I'm watching Netflix. I don't feel like doing it right now. I'm just chilling. I don't feel like taking a phone call. I don't know who this is. Then they call back a second time. Usually it's not a telemarketer. And 2, it usually means like it's more urgent, right? And then if they don't pick up, I'd send them the text from the Vector Impact app, that initial one that you have in there to send to them. And it shows, oh, this is a real person. Oh, this is like a cell phone. Okay, cool. So they're more likely to pick up. Then a couple days later, I would double tap and leave a voicemail. And again, if you call them at 6 p.m. on Monday, I would not call them again at 6 p.m. on Wednesday, because 6 p.m. may not be a good time for them, right? So double tap and leave a voicemail. So why leave a voicemail? Well, a lot of people aren't going to listen to it, but the ones who do, they're going to recognize your voice. So then they realize, oh, this is a real person. Well, they seem really nice. By the way, if you call them twice, leave a text, twice leave a voicemail, and they don't call you back, they're a jerk. They're the ones who should feel bad. It's just common courtesy to like respond to people. And unfortunately, a lot of young people have gotten used to ghosting and not responding, and that's not okay. And that's not best practice. That isn't like common courtesy. Team human is to respect people, love people, appreciate people, all of that. So you leave a voicemail. What's the voicemail script, by the way? These are all on myvectordemo.com, right? If you want here and you scroll down, even more that some of you haven't done, voice message scripts, just copied this. Text scripts right there. So when you do this, just leave a voicemail. Hey, Susie, you might not recognize my number, but my name is Jason Heinrichs. I'm a friend of, or I go to your church here, or I live down the street, or I'm your son, Johnny's friend. And, she gave me, or she said I should give you a call. Sorry for not getting hold of you. It's not a random number, solicitor, just me. Hope to hear back from you soon. Thanks. Okay. So simple. That's all it is. You're not talking about knives or set up a demo. Okay. So you can see there's a couple options here that you can use for different voice mails. All right. So you do that. Why? Because it pops up in their phone as another notification. So even if like maybe their number is blocked or something is happening where like you, maybe it's not showing up. Like sometimes you guys ever call people and it doesn't show up. Or I've had people have called me and said, oh, I didn't. Yeah, I called you already. Like, oh, I got no missed call. Technology, internet, like there's a lot in the waves of internet and cell phone towers that can get messed up. So anyway, you do that. And then finally, a couple of days later, so this is all in 1 week, I double tap and I'd say, hey, is this Susie? So that way also, maybe they didn't get a text. How many times have we not gotten a text that was received? So is this Susie? It's also a general question like, oh, so this is a cell phone number. And yeah, I'm Susie. So they have the right call, the right person. So I'm gonna maybe respond back. When they respond back, that's where you can drop down here. And some of the text messages is you can use like these as sending a text. And it's more to get them on the phone, not to set up a demo. Okay. So there's that. And then guess what? Find them on Facebook. So at the end of the week or after calling them a few times, I'd find them on Facebook, clean up your Facebook. Think of your Facebook as like an online business card. Most young people don't use their Facebook. You're on TikTok and Snap and Instagram. So you might as well use Facebook to connect with all your Mac customers and to get those connections. And that way you can friend them. They see you're a real person. They see like life. And then you can DM them on Facebook. Hey, you might not recognize me, but I'm, how that connection is. And I'm not sure if I have your correct number, but I tried calling a few times to see if you can help me with contest or scholarship I'm working on. It would really help me out. Is your number blank? And I might go, oh no, that isn't my number. Okay. So that is the phone call flow. You'll get them on the phone. You'll book them up. Any questions on that document? Pretty simple. Cool. Okay. So